Hey, what's up everyone, John the Geek here, and today I'm going to be disabling the router functionality in my modem slash router, specifically the SBG 6850 from Motorola. And so I'm going to get right into the doing part. Be sure to stick around. At the after, I'll be explaining a whole lot of stuff. You know, who this is for, why, and a bunch of other information as much as I possibly can. And for those of you who don't even want to watch this video, I'm going to have the instructions here in the description so you can scroll down and check that out. So first things first, it's telling us we have to unplug the coaxial cable from the back of the modem. I didn't do this, I just left it, right? It worked for me either way. And but the next thing you have to do is you have to plug in an Ethernet port from the back of the modem straight into the computer, right, into the Ethernet of a computer. I bypassed any type of switch or anything like that just so that it doesn't cause any hiccups or problems, right? And so once you do that, you open up your web browser, any browser is fine, and you type in 192.168.0.1, right? And if it doesn't work for you, I'll explain in the latter half of the video, right? And so the default username and password, the username is admin, the default password is Motorola, right? And so once you type that in and press enter, you're at this screen here, and the next step of instructions is to go to the DHCP drop down menu. So go to basic, then go to DHCP, then go to DHCP server, click on no, and then click on apply, right? And then go to the wireless tab. So we'll go to wireless, then we'll go to primary network, then you're going to go to primary network drop down and select disabled, then click on apply on there, right? And then we're going to go to the advanced tab, which is right up here. And then you're going to type in the MAC address of your new router. Usually it's on the back of your router here as an example, right? And it'll say the words or the letters MAC, MAC, right? In all caps usually, right? And then there's going to be an example of these, pretty much almost exactly this amount of letters and numbers spaced out or separated by colons here. And so I'm just going to use this one as an example. It's not a real MAC address, but I'm going to click on add, right? I'm going to type that in, click on add, along with the colons in there, right? And then the next thing it wants us to do is we're going to go to the basics tab, and then we're going to go to this NAPT mode and click on disable and apply, and then this happens. And pretty much what you're gonna have to do now is just sit and wait, because if you notice here, my network connection got disconnected, and then it's trying to now reconnect. The modem itself is resetting itself, and so you're just gonna have to wait probably up towards a minute or two, but you'll see this connect and disconnect. And so you gotta wait for the lights on the modem to become solid. And so for the most part, we've disabled the router functionality. We should be getting an IP address straight from the ISP, the internet service provider, right? And your ISP only gives you one IP address, so that one IP address should be showing up here. And if things worked out correctly, you may have to actually unplug the power to the modem, right? And then plug the power back in, or you can continue to wait here like I did. And actually it just popped open right here. It just started up. We made a connection. We are connected now to the internet, right? And so if we go to local area connection now, I'm gonna hit details. There's gonna be a lot of blurred stuff in this video because there's a lot of personal IP addresses here that would allow attackers to be able to find me and my computer at home, right? So that's why things are blurred out, right? So when I hit details here, the IPv4 address, remember the default gateway used to be 192.168.0.1. Well, it's not that anymore. It's now just a straight up coming from the modem here, and you can only have one device connected into there, which is why you are going to be plugging in your router now. Alright, so now we're going to be plugging in the router into the modem, and so this is how the connection used to be. I've got my one computer here plugged into the port, right? We can go ahead and unplug this, and then what we're going to do then is take a new Ethernet cable, right? Another Ethernet cable. I have a very short one here. This is about like I believe like a foot or 2 feet. And so what we're going to do is we're going to plug in one end into the modem here, and there's 4 ports here. You can use any one of them, but I'm just using number 1. And then on the back of the router here, you're usually going to see this type of configuration where you see 1 port off by itself and then 4 ports grouped together. You're going to want to plug it into the 1 port that's by itself. This is the WAN port, right? This is the port that's coming from the modem or the wide area network, which is what WAN stands for. This is the internet, right? And it's going into the router to get split up into these ports here, right? And usually most routers follow this configuration where it's one off by itself. That's usually the WAN port, and it is sometimes a blue port, right? And then we have the yellow ports here, and this is the switch. And that line that we took out, that was the computer, we're going to then plug it into the switch here, and you can plug it into any one of them, but basically what this means now is that any of these ports here you can plug in other devices like your gaming consoles or other computers. These ports here you're not going to be able to use anymore, so just use these here to plug in switches and other devices, etc. And so that's pretty much the basic connection, how it should be connected now with your modem only and then your router. Alright, so everything's all connected up. Devices have rebooted, restarted, acquired IP addresses. We're connected to the internet here as we're on the Google page here. If you're having some problems, some issues, hopefully the next few steps might be able to troubleshoot or work itself out. But a lot of times it takes a few power cycles of things like the modem, unplugging the power, plugging that in, and the router, unplugging the power on there, plugging that in. Usually it's like boot up the modem first, make sure that's working okay, and then boot up the router and make sure that's working okay, and making sure everything's connected properly, right? So if you can get to this point, great. Then what we're going to do now is we're going to look for the IP address that the new router is giving us, and we're going to look for the default gateway for that. And the best way to do that is to go ahead and in the bottom right hand corner click on the network connection and click on Open Network and Sharing Center. Then you're going to go to Local Area Connection, right? Then you're going to go to Details, and we're going to look at the default gateway here, and it is 192.168.29.1, right? So that .29 is different now from the 0 last time from the modem, right? And so we're going to go ahead and close all this, and then we're going to go ahead and type in 192.168.29.1, and then you press enter. Now when you first log in for the very first time, it's going to ask you to create a password, right? And so I've already created one, that's why it's asking me this here, and you go ahead and create one, and then you'll be able to log in, and the next screen is going to be a setup wizard, which is going to look like this right here. And so it's going to detect your connection type, and it's going to go through a little quick setup, and then it's going to ask you a router setup, which is a basically it wants to set up your wireless connection. So you can choose the default, and like I said, you may not even, none of this might look like this for you, because if you have a different router and different modem, it's going to look very different, right? But if you do have an ASUS router like I do here, then you can go with the default, which all of this info here would say something else. I've already changed mine, but all of this info here, it's actually printed on your router, the default SSID and that password for the 2.4 gigahertz, and then for the 5 gigahertz, it's also different too. I think it's something like 2.4 gigahertz cell spot something, and then the password's a bunch of random letters and numbers, right? And so you can change it to whatever you want, make sure it's something secure and good, and then you hit apply. This is pretty much as far as I'm gonna go. You don't need to really set up anything else in terms of getting all of your devices an IP address and getting it connected to the internet, as well as setting up this wireless portion here. That's pretty much it for your wireless devices. There's definitely a bunch of different settings, which will probably be in a later video or a few videos later on. But this is pretty much as far as I'm going to take you on here. I don't want to show you what's after this because there's a bunch of things I'd have to blur out, and that's just a lot of work for me. So now, since that's pretty much it for all the doing part, now I'm going to talk about, for those of you who have no idea what the heck am I doing and why am I doing this, I'm going to get into the blog right now. Alright, so the purpose of this video, as you saw here, my particular case scenario is that my ISP, which is Time Warner, provided me with a modem / router, and I want to use my own router, right? I still need the modem functionality, but I want to use my own router here, right, instead of the router that's built into this ISP provided one, which, by the way, I pay monthly to rent and borrow this thing. More on that later. And so basically it's not really good to have two routers, right, plugged in to the network and both routers running as routers. It gets things complicated. There could be conflicts, right? And that's mainly because both of the routers could have the exact same default IP address, right? This could have been or this was 192.168.0.1, and then the router you buy, whatever it is, could also be 192.168.0.1. And if you try plugging them both in together and they both have that same IP address, they're going to conflict with each other and they're not going to work, right? Thankfully though, if I were to plug in this new router with this old router or the ISP provided one, it would have still worked, right? Because they're both different. It was that second to the last octet, right? The 0.1 and the 29.1, that 0 and 29, since they're both different, they'll be able to work, right? But there's still a lot of other networking features and stuff that would complicate things. And if you were to have two separate networks here, whatever you plug into this switch and whatever other thing you plug into this switch, they're on two separate networks. The two devices that you plug into them won't communicate with each other, right? So if you plug in a computer in here, plug in a computer in here, the two computers won't be able to talk to each other, right? And when you want to network things together and share files and stuff like that, it becomes increasingly complicated to try to get them to talk to each other. So having only one router, one DHCP server, that's what IT guys like to call their routers, is DHCP servers. Having only one on your network is always best. And so like I said, I have Time Warner cable, and I pay for this modem / router. How can you tell if you have a modem / router? Well, basically, because Time Warner Cable is a cable company, they have that TV cable type of connection, a coaxial, as it's called, on your device here. If you'll have one coaxial cable here, right? That's the internet coming in, and then if you only have one port, chances are that's not a router, right? It's only a modem. And I can show you as an example here. Here's one where I know for a fact that this is just a modem, and we have the one coaxial cable here, and we have only one Ethernet port here, right? And so this and this, no configuration really needed on the modem side of things. You just got to configure this new router, and this is the great combination here to get things working smoothly. And so when your modem here has more than one port, right, chances are that this is a router, and that's why there's multiple ports here, because you're able to connect multiple computers and devices into it, right? And so that's how you can mainly tell. And will this particular method work for every Time Warner cable device? You're going to have to make sure that you look up the model number here. Although your device might look the same, it might not be the same, right? It might not be the same model, might have different firmware. It might actually be the same, exact same model, but have different firmware. So the menu items might be different from yours. So if all else fails, there is a reset button, and you just get a little push pin, and you press the reset button, you hold it in for 30 seconds, you'll reset everything, and everything will be back to normal. And if this thing isn't for you, then don't mess with it. Will this work with other cable modems? I can't really say. I'm hoping that other people out there, if you're watching this, that you comment down below. Let me know if you have like Charter or Cox cable, whoever else, I don't know, what other cable companies are there out there. But for the most part, I would say there's a good chance that other modem slash routers you'll be able to disable the router functionality in it, so that it only becomes a modem, right? Will this work in DSL lines like AT&T DSL, the Uverse type of stuff, or the Verizon Fios, right? Those also, they package those with modem slash routers. And in my experiences with Verizon, yes, there you could disable the router functionality in it in those devices, so that you can hook up your own router, right? And AT&T ones, I'm not sure, but I would say probably yes. But obviously, this particular guide, since it's with Motorola devices and it's with coaxial cable type of connection and not DSL, your process could be very, very, very different, especially when it comes down to the PPoE type of authentication, the way that DSL plays around with that. I don't even know if they still do that sort of thing, but who knows, maybe they do. Which this is going to lead me into my next video, which earlier I had mentioned that this thing I got to pay for a lease, or I rent this thing for $7 a month, right? And now I'm only using it as a modem, not even using it as a router or wireless router anymore. So could I get rid of this thing? And with Time Warner cable, yes, I could. In my area, I can't speak for every Time Warner cable area in the nation or anything like that, but where I'm at out here in LA, I could get my own modem. And an example is this one. I'm not really going to use this one, but I have another one that I'll be using, a DOCSIS 3.0, right? I bought that one straight out for, I believe, $60, right? And so I pay $7 a month for this thing, right? And in 1 year or 10 months, I could have bought my own modem and keep using that and stop paying for or renting this thing right here, since I'm not using it as a router anymore and just a modem. So that's going to be my next video, right? My next video, I'm going to be just getting rid of this thing altogether, this modem, and calling up the cable company. It's just a matter of swapping out MAC addresses. That's on the bottom of this device here, and you tell them your new MAC address, and it's supposed to just work, not a whole lot of configuration or anything like that you need to do, not that I know of. But it's a very simple, straightforward, and you can buy modems. I know many of you probably are seeing modem and router combinations on sale, right? It's because you can actually use your own modem, and I would suggest trying that out if you want to. You could save some money in the long run, right? It would take about a year before you'd start saving some money, but nonetheless, you get to do and use more of your own hardware and set up things how you want. And once I do that and get rid of this modem here and show all that process, the video after that, what I'm going to be doing is just showing you all the various types of networking devices that you can get, and extending like your wireless range, and getting other devices, getting power or Ethernet over the power lines, that type of stuff. Say for example you want to add a connection in your bedroom because the wireless doesn't really reach out there too well, and you want to add an access point somewhere. That's going to be another video. I already have a video where I'm kind of setting up wireless networking devices and repeaters and stuff like that, but that video is starting to become outdated, right? And so I want to start using new wireless AC protocols, right? That's the next big thing right now, is wireless AC. And so with that said, that's pretty much it. Please comment down below if you got any questions. Hopefully I answered pretty much everything here. One question I think I'm gonna get is, does this break anything? Like I said, you just hit the reset button and you'll set everything back to factory stock settings, and you can just start all over and undo all of this stuff by hitting the good old reset button. And is it illegal? Are you going to, are you circumventing any laws or anything like that? I'm not a lawyer or anything. I don't know the laws exactly, but to the best of my knowledge, no. This does not void any warranties or anything like that. I mean, you don't really get any warranty. It does not circumvent any of your plans. Do you have to pay extra? Are they going to find out? No, right? That's pretty much the quick and easy answer I could tell you. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, like I said, comment down below. Hopefully I'll be able to answer them. If not, or maybe some other people can kind of chime in, let me know the other services that you have, if you've done this before, and if this worked out for you. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.